pleased I am to be here. I cannot tell you how happy and humbled I am to be able to speak to you. I'm going to represent the professional and scientific community to bring a message that the professional and scientific community believes, as does the religious community, in the damage that is produced by pornography. Where is it? Oh, I've got it. Oh, okay. It's not. Maybe we have to turn it on? Oh, okay. I'm an expert in technology, actually. Can you believe that? Oh, there we go. Okay. Psychologists have, for a number of years, called internet pornography the new crack cocaine. Personally, I think it's an understatement. I think it actually is damaging us as a society and as individuals in a much greater way than crack cocaine as a toto is in fact damaging us. So I think that they have understated it, and now that it's expanded on cell phones and PlayStation 2, it's even a greater problem. Because I'm a cognitive therapist, the piece of this process that's very important to me are what are the messages and the beliefs that are given to people when they look at these images. From my point of view, the beliefs lead to the behaviors, and I'm going to talk about some of the beliefs that people get from this kind of imagery. I want you to keep in mind, what are the behaviors that come from these beliefs? So I'll talk about the beliefs and then talk about the behaviors. You'll see the connection. And I'm going to talk broadly because I believe that pornography is not just video and print material. It is the seamless connection between the print and the video material with live pornography, which is strip clubs, and physical pornography, which is prostitution and sex trafficking, and you can't separate them out. There is no line of demarcation that you can say this is where one stops and the next one starts. The permission-giving beliefs are beliefs that cognitive therapists talk about that say that what I'm doing is normal, doesn't hurt anybody, and everybody is doing it. Therefore, I don't need to change my behavior. Those people who say I have a problem are really wrong and crazy and prudish. And probably some of you have heard that. You're wrong, you're crazy, you're prudish. Sex is a consumer commodity which you can sell, buy, or steal. Once you start selling something, somebody can steal it. Read steal as rape. You can steal sex. You can demean sex because it's something that you buy and sell. Sex is a male entitlement, and what is the consequence of having that belief? Women's bodies are sexual entertainment for men, or as I'm going to put it in the rough way that my patients say it to me, women's bodies are pieces of sexual meat to be consumed for male entertainment. Here are some of the beliefs I hear from the patients I work with. All men go to prostitutes. Oh, yikes. What happens when we believe that every man goes to a prostitute? You just gave yourself permission to do it. All people want sex with all people all the time. That's what happens in pornography. Everybody wants sex with everybody all the time. Women enjoy being raped. Women enjoy degrading sex. Children like sex with adults. And as the men that I treat who are raping children say to me, I know that children like to have sex with adults. I've seen their smiling faces on the internet. Sex is not about intimacy, caring, love, or respect. And once we get that message, we can take all of those values out of our sexual interactions. Interestingly enough, sex is not about marriage or having children. And isn't it interesting that one of the messages of pornography is that children don't come from sex? Yikes. Sex is recreational. You don't need to know your partner. Sex with strangers is the best and most intense kind of sex, despite the fact that the research says that the people who are most satisfied with their sex lives are married people. So all of this is miseducation about sex. Sex has no negatives like sexually transmitted disease and unwanted pregnancies, psychological or moral impacts. Nothing in pornography says there are any negative consequences from what you're doing. Female sexuality doesn't match reality. And I use the example over and over again that in pornography, women have orgasm when they perform oral sex on men. Wow, do they? No, they don't. It's a narcissistic wish, get over it. That doesn't happen. But in pornography, that does happen, okay? Women are sexually insatiable and indiscriminate. They will have sex with anybody. And usually, and the porn filmmakers will tell you, that sexual intercourse better happen within the first 45 seconds of that movie or people are going to turn it off. So those women got to see that guy in the store and have sex with him within 45 seconds of when that movie starts. And the hate speech against men that we see in pornography, the myth about male sexuality that we see in pornography, is that male sexuality is viciously narcissistic, predatory, and out of control. It's a lie from hell, and we are teaching our male children that this is what it is. There's no such thing as too much sex in pornography. It's like, whoa, not too much? No. So pornography is not only junk food. I mean, we are mixed sexuality our culture, but it's sexual obesity because you can have too much. Ask Tiger Woods. He may be physically fit. He's sexually obese. Sex is adversarial. It's a couple. We're in an arm wrestling campaign to get sex. Pornography is a one-way street with focus only on one's own pleasure, and there's no need to consider the needs of other people. What narcissism we're teaching people. Internet pornography tends to be designer sex. You keep clicking until you find the idealized image or the preferred image of the moment. Expect perfect and rearrangeable, that is, clickable body parts and body types, and it's unrealistic and leads to dissatisfaction in real relationships. Real women are not so clickable. Pornography includes performers who never say no and never reject sexual advances. What happens when we teach that to people? It increases unrealistic expectations about others, increases frustrations with others who say no, reduces the awareness and the skill of noticing the unwillingness of partners. Now we're going to look at the male thinking. And I'm representing the scientific community because each of the things I'm going to be talking about come from a study. Those of you who have heard there's no research that shows pornography is damaging, another lie. I reviewed 80 studies on the damage of pornography, and they're going to show up both in the thinking and in the behavior. Studies that show a change in their attitudes toward rape. They think that women enjoy rape, that women got what she wanted when she was raped, that women make false accusations of rape. There's more acceptance of the rape myth in those who use pornography, and that the rapist deserves less time in prison. It's not such a bad crime. Let's look at that outcome. 3 groups. The first group saw 4 hours and 48 minutes of media. None of it was pornography. The second group saw 4 hours and 48 minutes worth of media. Half of it was pornography. The third group saw 4 hours and 48 minutes worth of media, and all of it was pornography. And when we asked them how much time should a rapist spend in jail, first group said 94 months. Second group said 79 months. I can't read from around here. And the third group said 50. So the more pornography you see, say, well, rapists shouldn't spend so much time in jail. It's not such a bad thing. Yikes. What happens when we start believing that? Those who look at pornography become sexually callous. They have an adversarial view of sex. They have a belief that certain behaviors are more frequent than they really are in the culture. They believe that group sex is more frequent. They believe that sex with animals is more frequent. They believe that sex with violence is more frequent. Here's the data on group sex. Same 3 groups. Do you see the dosage effect? The more pornography you get, the more you believe that people are involved in group sex. That third group, who saw the 4 hours and 48 minutes, thinks that almost a third of the population are engaged in group sex. So 1 out of each of 3 of you are having group sex. You want to stand up and show us who you are? Come on. Now, if those don't want to stand out, the ones who are having sex with Fido, you want to stand up? Here's the bestiality studies. Okay? And as you see, the dosage effect again, so that the more pornography they see, you get almost a doubling from 6.6 to 12% of the population having sex with animals, horses, dogs, whoever. Sadomasochistic sex, sex with violence, another dosage effect. The more pornography you see, the more you think that violence is part of the sex act. What is the implication on our culture for these kinds of findings? They are more accepting of violence against women. They use more sexual terms to describe women. They see women as sex objects. They have reduced support for women's freedom. And here's the male view of women's liberation. See the dosage effect? We can take them down from 71% acceptance of women's freedom to 25% acceptance of women's freedom. They're more willing to have sex with 13 and 14-year-olds. Think about the behavioral implications. They're more sexually attracted to children. They're less likely to think that pornography needs to be restricted from children. And this is a finding I see in my porn and sex addicts. Do you need to keep this away from your kids? Look at the data. Those who don't look at pornography, 83.5% say we better keep that pornography away from kids. We can bring that down to 36% if we just show them 4 hours and 48 minutes worth of pornography. Now, when this study was done, that was called the massive exposure group. I now call that the Friday afternoon group. 4 hours and 48 minutes is about how much porn the college students look at on Friday afternoon. Okay? So we don't even need to keep it away from kids. Now, the implication for behavior is just as scary. They use violent sexual fantasies to get themselves aroused, and this is after one presentation of a violent sexual media presentation. Men used violent images to arouse themselves. They're more likely to sexually harass women, not surprising. They're more likely to engage in date rape, stranger rape, marital rape. They verbally coerce sex. They physically coerce sex. They use drugs and alcohol to coerce sex. None of this is surprising given the beliefs we've just given them from pornography. They have affairs if they are married. They try to get their partners to act out scenes in pornography, though invariably women say those kinds of behaviors are degrading to them. Okay? They go to prostitutes. Let's look at that data. This is, have you looked at a pornographic movie in the last year? Those men who have not gone to prostitutes, 33% said yes. Those who have gone to a prostitute, 66% say yes. So now we're not only engaging in terrible behaviors, but criminal behaviors as well. That prostitution is illegal. In my own research, I found, devastatingly, that 25% of the 19 to 21-year-old males said that they had either already gone to a prostitute or were planning to go in the future. Prostitution use is related to more frequent non-consensual sex, and I found this in my own data. The first group are those who said, yes, I've either gone to a prostitute or I'm planning to go. And what was their score on non-consensual sex behavior? These are 19 to 21-year-olds. The second group are the group that said, no, I haven't gone to a prostitute and I won't go. So prostitution is hooked to rape, is hooked to pornography. Seamless. It's seamless. Men who go to strip clubs are more likely to engage in non-consensual sex than those who don't go to strip clubs. Seamless. They engage in behavioral aggression. Sexually abused partners who have been battered. So if you're a battered woman and your partner uses pornography, you are likely to be sexually abused as well. They use more alcohol. They engage in more binge drinking. There's greater use of pornographic media among juvenile sex offenders, and 7.5 years old is their average age for being exposed. Adult sex offenders, child molesters, incest offenders. Men who have been convicted of using child pornography later admitted that they'd sexually abused children as well. And this challenges the myth, and I'm sorry we have this myth in our legal community, that child pornography drains off the urge to molest children. It drains off nothing. It gives you permission to molest children. It teaches you how to molest children. It encourages you to molest children. It triggers you to molest children. It drains off nothing. So in this particular study, they looked at 155 child pornography offenders who had been convicted. When they were convicted, they admitted to 75 children had been molested from that group. When that group went through therapy and had to admit to all of their victims, it turned out it was not 75 victims. It was 1,777 victims in that group of 155 guys. The diagnosis of pedophilia is more often found in child pornography users than even in child rapists. The earlier, and this is from my own study, the earlier a male child is exposed to pornography, the more likely they are to engage in non-consensual sex. These are 19 to 21-year-olds. And the statistics on sexual violence are horrific. 1 in 8 women are raped. 50% of women will be sexually harassed at some point in their lifetime. The time a female is 18 years old in this country, 38% have already been sexually molested. The average age for entering into prostitution is 13. Research says that the factors that predict sexual violence are hostility toward women, sex is a casual and non-intimate recreational adversarial behavior, and the use of pornography, though you'll see that the first two factors are actually connected to the use of pornography. So pornography is the fuel. Now, lest you think that only men are affected, here's some data on women. Women who are exposed to pornography as children are more likely to accept the rape myth. They're more likely to have sexual fantasies that involve rape. Women also believe that rapists don't deserve as much time in prison. Look at the dosage effect with females. Down it goes, how bad the crime of rape is. What happens when women think rape is not a bad crime? Women also have reduced support for the women's liberation movement. They don't even think they should be free. Look at the dosage effect. Down it goes, even in women. Women have a more negative attitude toward their body. They think their partners are more critical of their women's bodies, which they are, and they have less sex. Interesting that pornography leads to less sex. The more pornography a young adult female uses, the more likely she is to be a victim of non-consensual sex. This is from my own research. She has learned that it's normal. She has learned to accept the signs. She's learned to tolerate intolerable behavior. Now, lest you just think it's men and women who are affected, we also have pornified kids, and all of this is from the research on children. The more exposure they have to sexualized media, the more they engage in oral sex, anal sex, engage in sexual intercourse. They have more negative attitudes toward using condoms, have not used contraception during their last intercourse, have not used contraception in the last 6 months, have earlier initiation of sex, have more sex partners, have had more than one sexual partner in the last 3 months, have sex more frequently, have a strong desire to conceive, these are our children, and are more likely to become pregnant, engage in more sexual harassment perpetration, engage in more non-consensual sex. Yes, children are becoming sex offenders at an ever-increasing rate. More likely to test positive for sexually transmitted diseases like chlamydia, use more alcohol and other substances during their last sexual intercourse, have higher sexual permissiveness scores, have less progressive gender attitudes. Any of these things we want for our kids? And lest we think it's just men, women, and children who are being affected, the performers are affected as well. This is the seamless continuum as well. The prostitution myths, it's a victimless crime, it's consenting adults. Didn't I just tell you they started at 13? These are not consenting adults, these are children. It's a job like any other. They do it because they like sex. Take a look at these pictures. These are compiled by a police officer in Denver of 8 mugshots of prostitution arrests. It's the same woman. Her first mugshot in the top left corner. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. Look at her. It's less than 2 years from first to last. Does this look like a woman who's been enjoying sex for the last 2 years? Check this one. This young woman was 18 years old in her first mugshot. In the second one, 18. Third one, 18. Fourth, 18. Fifth, 18. Sixth, 18. Seventh, 18. Eighth, 18 years old. Is this just a job like any other? Do you look like this after 1 year on your job? There are 10 pictures in this series. I'm just showing you 3. The picture tells the message. It's worth 1,000 words. This is not a victimless crime. The research says that those who are engaged in the sexual exploitation industry, that is, sexual abuse for money, have psychiatric disorders at an absolutely outstanding rate. They're depressed, they're substance abusers, they dissociate, because you can't be in your body and do this thing. You can't be sexually intimate with strangers and stay awake and psychologically alert. You have to dissociate. Those who have multiple personality disorder dissociate. Those who can't use alcohol and drugs, because you've got to either be drunk or high or gone to be able to do this. Here's the job, in quotes, of being a stripper and some of the experiences they have. any other job where you have the experience of being verbally abused, called cunt, whore, bitch, arm grabbed, breast grabbed, buttocks grabbed, hair pulled, pinched, slapped, bitten, have cigarettes flicked at you, ice and coins, customers following you home, customers stalking you. Is this a job? Anybody want this job? The management's doing it too, not just the clients. These are the statistics on verbally abused by the management, called cunt, slut, bitch, pinched, and slapped. You want this job when your boss does this to you? Women who work in the sex industry have about a 25% chance of making a marriage that will last as long as 3 years. If porn made us sexually healthy, if it was a good thing for us, wouldn't these people be getting the most benefit? Wouldn't they be having the best marriages? They know the most about porn. Average lifespan of the pornography performers, 37.43 years. Chlamydia and gonorrhea are 10 times greater in the LA County than compared to an LA County 20 to 24-year-old sample. 66% have herpes. 12 to 28% have sexually transmitted diseases. 7% are HIV positive. The entire society has been pornified. The Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue is a pornographic magazine, and even the writer for the Boston Globe, the sports writer for the Boston Globe, called it pornography. It's not a swimsuit issue. Some women aren't wearing swimsuits. You know, the woman that appeared wearing an iPod is not in a swimsuit issue. Victoria's Secrets, and the message is all women can look prostitutional in this prostitutional lingerie. Yeah. Barbie doll, also known as Lily the prostitute from Germany. That's where the doll came from. She was a prostitute doll in Germany before Ruth Handler brought her back for Mattel to give to every little girl in America. Howard Stern, pornographic talk every day. Pimp and Hoe Halloween costumes for little children. And this padded bikini tops for the first graders, which was first seen in London and now Abercrombie and Fitch in the last few weeks in their catalog. We need our 7-year-olds with padded bikini tops so that they can start looking sexual, so they can start thinking sexual, so that when they get old enough, maybe their 16th birthday, they can go get surgery and get some fake breasts and get 2 big bags of Jell-O attached to their chest, you know, because, of course, real women are not good enough. And that's despite the fact that there are now 4 studies that say women who get breast implants are 3 to 4 times as likely to commit suicide. You can depornify the society, and you can see that if you remove pornographic imagery, you have a reduction. If you restrict pornography, as they did in Hawaii, rape goes down. When they liberalized it, it went up. When they restricted it again, it went down again. When Oklahoma City closed 150 of the SOBs, sexually oriented businesses, they had a drop in rape by 26%, but Tulsa had no drop. And according to the Harris poll, the people of America want it. I want to echo what Commissioner Gaither told us about silence. Once you know the truth, silence is complicity. And I end every talk that I give with the message that I send to the porn industry, the complete porn industry. And I tell everyone that I speak to, you can carry the message for me, and you can tell them I said so, that they will never have the comfort of my silence again. And I hope the same is true for you. Thank you.